Welcome back, everyone. It is the new year. It is time for new night shift. ZP here with Jason Kaplan and Jason. The holidays are over, and you know what that means for everyone. It's time to clock in once more.
It is time. It's been like a year since we actually had night shift, which is a shame. But luckily, we are back here in the new year. New year, new shift. I don't know really how to go about it, but I do have to say this though, ZP. If you didn't know, over the break we did lose a very important person in our community. Did you hear about this?
No, who'd we lose, Jason?
Well, the Deadlock community lost a good one. Unfortunately, I was told today that Viper Pregnancy Enjoyer has had their Twitch account banned. Apparently, it is harassment. So the Pregnancy Enjoyer is no longer here with us. But at least we'll live in the spirit of our emote that we have on our channel.
You know, I gotta say, I was holding my breath here because, we didn't re-rehearse anything at this point. I was wondering, it's like, okay, if Jason actually says someone that legitimately was taken out, I'd be like, okay, I shouldn't have been smirking here. But, in this case, still very sad.
You got lucky this time.
It's an era that has ended, but, what hasn't ended is our format here on the night shift. It's your first time tuning in. Here's how things go down. We take the best of the best from EU and NA and smash them up against each other. And we kick things off with our best of one challenging match. It's going to be the return of Fearless Furies. They were inactive for a few weeks, Jason, but they're going to be going against Leviathan, where Leviathan has kind of been the solid number 2 in EU after all the chaos of buff enjoyers falling to the wayside.
It might have been a year since we last had night shift, but at least the teams in EU are staying the same here. Fearless Furies, Leviathan going up against each other once again to take on Abrahams. But I'm interested to see what's going to happen, more so towards the NA portion of the show, because people out there looking at Foreman, well, they can probably assume Lord and M is going to be in there, and I believe they're right, actually. It's kind of like a rebrand of Hydronation, which ended up rebranding to Sneaky Golem and now kind of rebranded to Floorman. I want to see how they're going to do, especially with Bunny with Clock, who lost one of their star players, Apache Pop, over to their now opponents this week.
Yeah, I mean, Star Player may be underselling it too, in the sense that Pashi was the brains behind Bunny with Clock, and effectively in somewhat of the team captain role. And Bunny with Clock, was beating Floormen in their last iteration as Sneaky Golem. And Pashi Pop leaves Bunny with Clock to join Floormen. And also, this kind of leads into our guest for the Graveyard Shift tonight, who's going to be Pashi Pop, because we got to kind of dig into what in the world went down with that roster swap. But NA for sure is definitely set up to be a thriller. But looking at what is at hand here, that's the format. And the reality is, Jason, we couldn't put on these shows without the support of our community. And of course, we got to talk about our patrons that have been supporting us this entire way through. Still got Tetsio and Matthew S., $250 night shift board members. Affix, who's been there the entire way through. And down we go, Jason. I mean, honestly, the support has been incredible.
Yeah, I think we're going to hit the point where we just can't fit everyone's name on this. And then you have to become a pledger of a higher amount to be showed on screen. Maybe that's one way we kind of sway ZP. No, it's been fantastic to have so many people, whether you're a Patreon pledger, whether you're a Twitch sub, whether you're just a YouTube subscriber, someone who tunes in the show every week. It's because of you guys that we've been able to keep the show going for as long as we have. And also big shout out to Jester DM, who just gifted 5 subs in chat. And I bring that up, ZP, because eventually we'll be talking about a specific reason why Twitch subs are going to be so important over, the course of today and potentially next week.
That's right. There may be a reward, a community reward, if you will, but we will get to that in just a few moments. Still, we got to review a little bit of what went down in the last night shift. It was all the way back in last year, Jason, and we saw perhaps the most concentrated pick priority we have ever seen in night shift history. Look at how many heroes got stuck in the 1 to 0 pick category. The players really kind of settled in on what was the top tier.
Yeah, and I think you hit the nail on the head talking about this has probably been our most divided pick priority, or at least is that divided? Would that technically work in this case? I think it kind of works, right? The split between like 6, 5, and 4 and 0 and 1 and 2. I don't think we've ever had a 2 be 0 picks, like a hero not be picked twice over the course of the night shift that week. But I mean, taking a look at some of the heroes in particular here, and some that I'm expecting to see yet again coming into this week. For me, off the bat, you're looking at Doorman. I've seen some big adaptations and some big plays, specifically out of Sai. I was watching some of their scrims today over on Melee Creep's side. I wouldn't be surprised to see him actually have more of a priority of being banned.
Yeah, Doorman, I think, has been the point of you let that hero through, you tend to lose. People have gotten better and better with him. He's not only good on basic stats, but he gives you unbelievable advantages when it comes to shifting around the urn, when playing around mid-boss. I mean, Doorman right now just gives you everything, and I think has been justly picked higher. But yeah, for today, I would expect more bans to come in. But, we'll see. We've had some balance changes over the mild patches since the last night shift, so we'll see exactly where everyone is reading things right now. But also in terms of items, we got our item priority, and it's kind of interesting. Not a big surprise in some regards. Like number one was Cult of Sacrifice, where it's still in the mode of why wouldn't you pick this item. Interesting to me as you look at things that have gone back up in priority is Connect Dash actually going a little bit further up, where, I think there was a period of time, Jason, where the item was like dead for a lot of characters and people realized, no, actually, we want to start running this again. Also, Warpstone coming back on more heroes.
Yeah, I'm not too surprised to see, like, obviously Warpstone makes sense for sure. Connect Dash as well, just because, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, all of the movement got slowed down across the game, and of course, how it kind of scales up as well. So having extra stamina, I feel like, is extremely important. It wouldn't be surprised to see it still being picked up over the course of today. On top of that, I think the really interesting one for me, excuse me, is Tank Buster getting picked 35, or going up 35 placings in our overall items that we have. Getting a little bit of a higher priority. I think a lot of that may be due to Lash as well. Seen a big pickup of Lash. Seen him picked 5 times in the night shift last week. I feel like we couldn't buy a Lash to show up in the show. We had to convince me to dress up and cosplay as him to finally get him on the night shift.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny too with Tank Buster, where people thought, okay, they changed the item, so it was more of a impact to people that had full HP rather than low, and people thought, oh, this is a nerf. But the way the players ended up taking it, almost viewed it as more of a buff. So it kind of goes to show that initial thoughts when you see the changes may not entirely reflect reality. But Jason, speaking of reality, we gotta talk. We gotta talk, Jason, about what is coming to the night shift community. Should we hit our sub goal? That's right, we got a new night shift skin that has just hit. It is the Abrams night shift skin. We got a teaser for it where I haven't even seen it, Jason.
Well,
we'll see how this
I don't know
looks.
if we actually do have a teaser. I'm just saying. I know it was still being worked on the back end. And I think the only tease that we might be giving is us saying what it is and what hero it's for. And hopefully expecting one of the players to actually pick Abrams so you guys can see the skin in game. But you're right, ZP, at 1,200 subs, we're going to be releasing our next night shift skin, Abrams, coming through. I think very fitting considering he's pretty much our logo. He's part of our logo, ZP.
Yeah, it was kind of we were talking about, and you and me were both aligned. It's like, okay, who are we gonna do? It's like, well, okay, we got Abrams on the logo. We got to get an Abrams skin up here of everything else. Like, there was a few different ideas, but overall, had to be Abrams. But the next skin, who knows where it's gonna go? But just a fun way of giving back to the community. The community's been so good about supporting us, helping us put on these shows that it's good to give back. And the Mo and Krill night shift skin has done incredible. I think it was like over 22,000 downloads, Jason. So people are really into that skin, even if they weren't watching the show.
I think what's so funny about that skin is probably most people don't realize that when you score on Mo and Krill, you're actually putting a night shift logo on the ground. Like, it actually is in the night shift logo, which is something for some reason some people don't really recognize or haven't really realized within that skin, making it really slick. But of course, Ozzy coming through once again, helping us out with this one. Big shout out to him for that one. But I'm excited to see if we could get Abrams played, so we could actually see the skin in full effect in the game. But that means we got to get into our game ZP first.
Yeah, and of course, to get into the game, we got to talk about the teams that are going to play. We're starting off with the EU money match, and the first team to talk about, it's going to be the return of Fearless Furies. They've been avid for a few weeks here, Jason. They took some time off for the holidays, need to get back in order, but things shifted up a little bit here. Apocycle back on the team, was off the team for a little bit. They had Ayano coming in to fill, and the roster mania continues. Apocycle back in on the roster, where to me, a player very kind of divided, where if Apocycle gets on something like the Victor, looks really, really good, but then there are some games I think were like, it was either him or Surgery that got stuck on like a Warden when Warden was really bad a few patches ago. And to me, I think when I look at this Fearless Furies team, mechanical skill is quite good, but they run into hero pool issues a lot in their draft.
And I hope that's something that maybe they've been working on over the break. I think that's a super important thing to have, is that flexibility of hero pools across the board. I was even talking to Lightbringer about it today, saying that's probably one of the most valued thing you look at when it comes to a player and the draft flexibility it can give you. I think also one thing in this team that I'm probably going to mention, no, actually, it would pretty much be towards them, and I've been saying for months now, is they don't really have like a star player in my eyes. They don't have anyone that really stands out. I mean, Apocycle can be that player when I've seen him on his Victor, but he has to be funneled over like 40 to almost 50,000 souls to really become that threat. But beyond that, I don't think we've seen that individual player have those moments just yet. But maybe Mr. Bobby here with the Lash popularity coming back into the mix, maybe he could be the star player for them in this match.
I think that's generally true. I think Surgery did have like one hero game on the Doorman, but the way Doorman's been, I don't even know if you're getting to play Doorman nowadays, but going into the opposition for Leviathan, a team where, these are players that have been involved in the competitive scene for a long time. Many of them, the old one-win core, then you throw in Obakim on top, Freemock, who's made his way into the team. Of course, last year was on Aegis Aurora, now is mixed in. But when I look at Leviathan here, Jason, the player to me that has really leveled up from last year to this year, and I'm talking about the entirety of last year, not just making a 2-week joke, to me has been Empty Dreams, where Empty Dreams has really come into his own as a huge playmaker on this team. And while they haven't been able to quite take down Abrahams just yet, when they've looked good, a lot of it has come off of Empty Dreams just being the man of the hour.
Yeah, I think he's been grinding quite a bit, CP. I don't know if you take a look at some of these like Oceanic streams at all, but Disco Virtuoso, he's actually been playing in a team with Empty Dreams and with some other, actually, sorry, ABL's playing with Empty Dreams over one of these teams with also a couple of other players you might recognize. There's like this APAC event coming up, and there was one just a few weeks ago where there's a lot of like Russian players participating in it. And Empty Dreams has been one of those I've been watching, and he's been grinding hard. And maybe that's why we're seeing such an uptick in his skill and his play so far.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. And I mean, it's easy to forget given the fact that we've been doing this now for about 1.5 years. But, this is still a brand new game. Things change week to week. And the players themselves, they also improve. And before you know it, who's on top, who's on bottom, things change a lot in the scene. But moving along here, as we go forward here, we got our Mo 1v1 coming up next, I believe.
I hope it could possibly be happening. Our first Mo 1v1 of the year. Now, I think we need to explore this snowball idea. I don't know, ZP, how many snowballs have you actually unlocked? How many ornaments have you gotten?
On my main account, just one so far. I've kept most of the snowball unlocking to Holiday. No, not Holiday. No, it's been more Geist. It's been more Geist. Yeah.
What? ZP playing not Holiday and not Warden. This is blasphemy. I've never expected to hear you say that.
Yeah, a little bit of Geist, also a decent bit of Warden. But okay, we're getting into it. This is a longer Mo v1. I mean, this is both players using, air dash check, but final parry comes on in, and that's Obakim who falls. Surgery takes it, and as a result, Jason, Fearless Furies, they get to choose their own destiny here between first and second pick in this draft.
CP, okay, I'm sorry, I have to go back to this. Why are you only unlocking them on your ult?
Honestly, I don't want the MMR destruction that's come about here. Like, I've been trying to take the actual grind seriously on my main, and it's been chaos, man. Like, the way the ladder has been the last 2 weeks with people unlocking ornaments, it's not been good. As well say there. If your goal is to simply climb, you could undo a lot of work in a handful of games. But
I can't climb much higher than E6 that I'm at already. So E6 Page coming through as a first ban here out of Fearless Furies. I did unlock them all on my main account. Well, I only have one account. I locked them all. Surprisingly enough, I think it was Kelvin took me the longest, which is shouldn't be that hard, to be fair. But Leviathan coming through with their ban, and it's gonna be Shiv. Okay, so we do have Doorman being left open, but good to see that it might be a new year, but Shiv being banned is all 2025.
The early Page ban is what's interesting to me. Also, I gotta say, I love how we have Schrodinger's Kaplan, where it goes from I1 to E6 depending on the day and the context.
Sure.
Whatever you're trying to say here.
It was a very quick climb, then very quick downfall, and then climb again. Oh, hey, we're getting Abrams. We're getting the new skin.
That's right. Fearless Furies, actually, they weren't going to pick Abrams at all, and they decided, no. We need to see the skin. We need to make sure it doesn't get banned. But, prioritizing frontline makes sense. Also, Billy did get nerfed a little bit in some mini patches, and, Chain Gang isn't quite as good as it used to be. So, well, he's still going to get picked first. Just not first, as it were, Jason.
Yeah, I do wonder with the Page coming through, maybe that's obviously going to, well, not maybe, it's going to be obviously a targeted ban to prevent Billy from having that dominating Billy Page lane. But I think where I'm more looking towards is maybe not the first picks, but like the second, third picks out of these teams, like all the picks in the first half of the draft. Because I just don't know what to expect with the 2-3 weeks that we've had off. But I mean, seeing Mina being picked up for OCs, that's not too surprising.
Yeah, what is a little bit surprising is Mina taking that high of a priority in EU, because Mina was lower priority when she was getting picked in EU. So that being picked as early is super interesting. Now, Fearless Furies, Hayes second. That's a difference. And that's something, it was kind of funny. I was talking with Lightbringer, and Lightbringer was saying, I don't know why these guys aren't picking Hayes. Hayes is really good right now. You should be playing more Hayes. And maybe people have come around to ideas like, wait, Hayes is good right now. We want to play it. The interesting thing to me, though, is that Doorman is yet to be picked, and generally Doorman in the 2-3 spot is ideal. And instead, Fearless Furies, they go back to the tried and true. They go Yamato, who wasn't picked at all in the last night shift of the last year, Jason.
Yamato, like one of my most hated heroes to get my ornament on, honestly. I felt completely useless down in my I6 at the time. But yeah, I've been hearing good things, hearing that she can be really strong right now. I kind of haven't seen it properly executed, even though I did watch some melee creep games where Fishcake was playing it just yesterday, but it still wasn't as impactful as like the old days of Yamato. But I think the interesting thing is Leviathan taking the victor in top 3. I find very interesting here.
Yeah, I mean, on some level, maybe they don't want Apocycle to play it on the other side. I mean, it was kind of something that Apocycle was grinding out for a long period of time. They get rid of it. They don't have to worry about it as much. They end up banning the Pocket in the mid-stage bans. We'll see if Fearless Furies comes back with here. And it's so interesting to me, Jason, where you just take a few weeks off and it feels like everything has changed. And there hasn't even been that major of a patch relative to the past. Like, things are a little bit more static. And yet, here we are, and... yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah, I'm also curious to see what Leviathan's going to pick after the first 3 picks, because the Haze, I mean, I'm expecting the Hazes we've seen in EU have been like full utility Hazes, right? With like slow and hexes, silence waves. I'm kind of hoping to see the similar thing happen here to really punish Mina, to prevent her from being really annoying. Maybe even similar with Billy, if he does go in deep, you can just silence him out and not allow him to really do as much. But there's the Doorman that you were talking about before. Normally in the first 3 picks, at least we get to see it in the second round, this time for Leviathan. But then there's always that question, is it going to be Gun Doorman? Is it going to be regular Doorman?
All right, Mirage coming in here for Fearless Furies. And I gotta say so far, Jason, from the draft, at least from what we saw in previous weeks of play, Leviathan's draft looking way better here. I still feel like getting Doorman at 4th is a bit of a scam, as it were. And I mean, now you just kind of wonder what you're going to pick up, if anything, on the support end, where Fearless Furies goes with the Wraith. Now for Leviathan, you have Paige out off the board, you have Kelvin off the board. So, you know, some of the options you would pick here are gone. But also playmakers. Like, you look at the playmaker situation here, Jason. Surely someone's picking Paradox, Holiday, Bebop here soon, you would think.
It was smart.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if we're gonna really make it this deep into the draft without one of those 2 heroes being picked, then I would wax your eyebrows for you at the first event.
Why is it my eyebrows? Why? It's like, you know what? Many people will die, but that's a sacrifice, you know, I'm willing to make, as long as it's not me, you know?
Just one night, you know, you're gonna say, you know, you can't get drunk. We'll give you a couple drinks, and then bam, eyebrows gone the next day. We do see the Holiday being picked up as well as the last pick for Leviathan. So we get 2 playmakers being locked in and secured. Do we think Fearless Furies goes Bebop then to have one initiative for their side, or do they just let it slide and go something else?
I don't know. I mean, generally speaking, people have been too bullish on Bebop as of late, and you know, instead they go Viscous. And yeah, I mean, you can play Viscous as kind of quasi playmaker, especially with roaming. You know, one of the biggest changes we saw in the last night shift and in the Deathy tournament was that it was more in NA, but teams were more willing to roam at 2 minutes and, you know, make more ganks post 2 minutes while people are going boxes, etc. And Viscous can get active in the same way that, you know, Haze can. So, you know, for Fearless Furies, you don't have a hard initiate in the way of Paradox or Holiday, but Haze and Viscous can kind of slot into those roles in and of themselves, and they're going to have to if they're going to make this worthwhile versus Leviathan.
I see some really strong mid-game potential out of the Furies. If you could utilize that Haze properly, get those roams with gangs, pick up slowing hex to really punish and guarantee a kill on the target you're going for. I want to see how this is going to play out, though. I think most importantly, it's going to come down to that 2-minute mark. I've been seeing a lot of box maxing. I don't know what the American teams. I'm kind of curious to see where EU currently sits at box maxing and what they want to do with allowing the player to get like solo farm when his teammates box maxing, or if he's going to continue to wait and stall things out, or if early gardens will be taken to go for those early jungle invades and eventually into those centers, which can really stack a game in your favor. But there we go, ZP. Look at the top left-hand side. Man, myth, the legend. The Night Shift Abram skin.
Yeah, he's got that old-timey hat on. Can we get a zoom in on Abrams here? You know, a little bit more focus on the skin that will be unlocked at 1,200 subs.
Say pretty please. There we go.
Oh, I love it. Even the book got a little bit of old-timey action. And I will say, you do really notice the tail on this skin when there's no cloak.
Yeah, you do. I didn't actually realize. Well, I knew it was long, right? Because you can always see it at the bottom of the coat. But yeah, Ozzy coming through here with the new Abrams skin. Remember, 1,200 subs when we get to that point, whether it's this week, next week, or in 6 months from now, that's when we release this one for the community to pick up and use. Early resto shot being picked up for Bobby. And he's going to be paired with a Mirage in his lane. So some decent poke. And they're actually putting Alpha Cycle on. I mean, he typically plays carries, but it's interesting to see that he played Victor in the past and played carry with it. And now he's on Mirage.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in the sense that the unity there is you want to pick the hero that gets a lot of farm. And in this case, they're going to be putting Mirage in the absorb farm role. But also, there's a lot of mouths to feed here. When you look at this Fearless Furies comp here, Jason, because between Wraith, Mirage, Yamato, and a little bit on the Haze, not everyone's going to get farm. Like, someone is going to have to starve, and whoever's starving, you know, their impact on the game isn't going to be great. So in terms of, you know, managing your team comp off an economy basis, there's a little weakness there.
Yeah. Oh, okay. A little bit of a backward charge. I don't think he meant to actually hit a wall onto Empty Dreams. It picks up and locks him into it to be his death. Bo being the first one to go down in this game. And Jax Libido coming in with 10 gifted. Thank you so much, Mr. Libido, sticking around for another year. And so long since we've seen you.
Yep. A whole year. And Jax Libido just saying, you know what? Get that Abrams skin out. Get it out here right now as Viscous eating all sorts of pokes. I guess underrated the danger there as they just get run up on by overseas. So, you know, maybe a new year, Jason, but you know, some trends of, you know, players not necessarily, you know, rating the danger properly still exist.
Okay, so we hit the 2-minute mark here, and this is where I'm actively looking at this mini map, and I really want to see who's going to kind of go where. We've already seen Empty Dreams. Looks like he has rotated off to do some box maxing, especially since they got a kill. They can kind of afford to after shoving the lane. On the other side, no one's really roaming too far out of their lane. It seems like Fearless Furies are actually kind of semi-freezing the lane on the left-hand side here, which can really punish the box maxing, to be honest.
Yeah,
but yeah, not as much of a spread as I expected.
Also, you know, we didn't really talk about it too much, but the Empty Dreams on the Victor is a little bit surprising to me. When you think about what players usually play. I mean, Empty Dreams is doing where players, oh, the parry straight out of the door into focus fire. Obakim just barely walks it out. That was a near disaster, Jason.
I was actually trying to see how many fixation stacks he had. If it took a couple of shots, a couple too many shots, Obakim might have actually passed from that one. But he's going to actually be sitting very far behind the lane. Even the sleep dagger being thrown in, trying to catch out onto this one, but will not be successful. So far, a very strong start here for Leviathan.
Yeah, but which to be expected, right? I mean, between the two teams on paper, if you had to say who's going to win, you would think it's going to be Leviathan, just off of recent history. But for sure, you know, they've had reasonable showings, and you never quite know what can happen in a single match of Deadlock. As you know, again, it's in the Abrams skin from the back. Rotation back in the lane here from OCs. A little bit of health restore off the rake. And yeah, you know, looking at the general trends in the game right now, you have a rotation here into the left-hand side here. Overload from Fearless Furies looking for a pick. Are they going to get it? Freemock instantly put into the ground.
Yeah, great sleep dagger again coming out of surgery. Able to lock that into a kill and potentially some damage onto the Guardian. Now my eyes turn towards Colt, who might be pressured in the mid lane. He needs to defend this Guardian because he could take a lot of damage knowing that Haze, played by surgery, is not going to be here. And even Overseas goes down as they commit onto the dive. 16 HP, even less than that for surgery, and they get themselves 2 kills and equalize the souls at 17k apiece.
I really do like how things have evolved a bit in recent times, where people realize, oh, go for the boxes, and they finally put things together, Jason, of, yeah, go for ganks too, and things are getting a little bit rowdy in the right-hand lane right now, as you see both Mirage and Abrams diving deep versus Mina on the other side. Of course, right now, a little bit of poke being seen in the middle, but on the right-hand side, Obi nearly going down, hiding behind the barrel, still may not be out of danger yet.
They're just really applying this pressure. Considering that first death that happened for Bobby, they really want to keep the aggression on in this lane, and with even OCs coming in from behind, trying to really punish them here. They have to be very careful of no rotations coming through, and luckily for them, as we can see in the minimap, nothing will be happening, except for going down to Flammable. That was over in the mid lane.
Yeah, I mean, and Cult has had a very difficult job here when you think about how Surgery, or how they've been playing it here, where they're doing more roaming. Overall, you know, Cult has had to bear the brunt of, okay, good, you're getting the solo farm, but on the other hand, you know, you're more likely to just get, you know, dove on, or at least end up in a bit of an HP deficit.
Surgery is off to another fight here, gets a kill into Fremont. I mean, he's still pretty much just been non-existent in this middle lane since the initial 2.5 minutes through. That's another kill coming into Overseas. And this is, I guess, is like the style we're seeing these days now, as you mentioned before. Knowing those box rotations come in around the 2-minute mark. And if you're going to be going for that as Surgery here, you might as well just go for a gank, especially because you can't be seen approaching this lane. Really providing a strong start for Fearless Furies to kind of carry them through. He talked about how many mouths need to be fed on their side, and well, they're doing a good way of dealing with it by just stacking up kills.
Oddly enough, the one starting most has been Apocycle here so far. Cube, and then on to Cult. Looking punish here on the Obakim. Cart comes out. First shadow transformation doesn't connect. He gets punished immediately thereafter into the parry, into the flying strike. You want a piece of Holiday on top of it, but maybe a little bit too much to ask here as 64 HP. Cult gonna be running back.
There's the Guardian going down. 27-25k, a strong start for Fearless Furies. I want to see if they now rotate this in to some jungle camps and take this away. I think the double Sinners is definitely going to be where my eyes will be turned towards at that 8-minute mark. The Surgery, I mean, having a flawless start to this game, I think is super important. Not to mention the fact that Colt had to kind of sit in that lane by himself. He dealt with the pressure extremely well, and he's even souls to his counterparts. So this has been a really ideal start for the Furies.
Dive in on the Overseas. No way out of that one at that point. And yeah, you know, I think about this here as we see Bobby under a bit of pressure. Low HP on the Abrams. No, not quite going to be able to get away. Obi can be able to finish off. Things just continuing to heat up across the map. Nox Nostra in deep into the church. Surgery goes for the parry. Not going to happen. And it's gotten very spicy here. The last moment here, Jason. All lanes kind of exploding along with the Blue Guardian.
Yeah, Burger Boxing our way through 2026. Love to see it. And by the way, for chat, we are aware of missing some audio on some of the players we're observing. It is being looked into and fixed and will be done momentarily, but the action won't stop either way. As Overseas is going to be going for the charge. Gets parried up. What was that? Oh my God, Arzo. The dash away with parry catches Overseas out and sends him to his death.
You know, it's gotten a little bit more dangerous to play Billy consistency-wise over the last few weeks, where he's been so top tier that everyone has had to play against Billy a lot. And as a result, people have gotten better about fishing for when to drop your parry to catch a quick melee or two. So it's kind of the uncertainty of playing Billy is that he is still really strong, Jason, but you know, there's moments where you're just gonna die because someone read the parry, because you can't not go for that. Okay, Apocycle's just gonna tornado, not eat damage out of it.
Lucky for him, there was no one actually to capitalize on him being locked away in the Paradise Hotel. The dive going to be coming in yet again on this right-hand Guardian. Flammable trying to defend against us with 3 players in his vicinity. At least has Obi Kim here to help out, but they're going to lose the Guardian either way. And now you can see yet again Surgery on the rotation, coming back into this left-hand side, maybe looking for a gank here. You obviously have the Sinners now up as well, something to keep your eye on. And these fights are just not stopping.
Yeah, I mean, you have War rotating over to the right potentially. Right now in the middle of the map, you have Cult looking back and forth right now with Empty Dreams. Neither really taking too much damage. Fremont, meanwhile, finding Surgery in on the left-hand side. So again, things have gotten a little bit scrappy. More scrappy than you would expect for EU pre-10 minutes. I feel like, Jason, there was an era of Deadlock where there was a very gentleman's view here and, oh, defend your Sinners. Viscous over Mina, low enough HP that, you know, in off the splatter pressure, able to go in and get the final hit.
-4 though, he missed it, but at least denied it. That's still very important. I think one thing we have to keep our eye on top of this game for Leviathan, with how scrappy things have been. Empty Dreams is about to hit 9,000 souls. Fremont as well at 8.9k. And only really on the other side is like Arzo at 8.4. And I get Colton just now approaching the 8k mark. I mean, we're starting to see some carries and specific players get towards these thresholds where they start to get a little bit of a lead that makes them a little bit hard to deal. Well, I say a little bit, very hard to deal with in these mid-game fights.
What I'm curious too is, you know, I think the difference between pub play and comp was very on display last night shift, where Wraith was not doing particularly well. But okay, Flying Strike over in directly into Nox Nostra. Cult find themselves under a bit of pressure here. Mina in off the rake. Cult very, very low shadow transformation, but so late that I don't think it's going to save. Cult here and in the moment. 0 HP down. Overseas able to finish that off. Meanwhile, Earn Control going to be firmly had here by Leviathan as Obakim. You know, you get Earn Control as a team with Doorman. It's probably looking good for your ability to turn it in, Jason.
Oh yeah, very good. I was again, I was streaming earlier on today and watching some scrims, and someone in chat asked me, how do you stop a doorman from just getting the urn every time? And basically the answer was, you just don't let them get the urn, because once they have it, it's kind of impossible to stop. You have to overcommit resources on the turn-in if you want to protect it, which means you have to keep someone there, and ideally you don't want to have to put someone there until you know the urn's being walked in, but that door just catches you completely off guard, and Obakim's gonna be doing exactly that. So honestly, if you're Fearless Furies, yeah, maybe you keep Psy there and get a puddle punch or two to delay, but for me, you look for pressure around the map with the objectives. You look for Guardians or something, and if anything, they've really not gotten much of anything at all. OC is being tracked down by Surgery. Oh, and he gets 800 bag on top of that.
High risk, high reward to go back in there for OCs, and ends up with the risk portion of it. Earn, though, is turned in while that's going around, Jason. So Leviathan, I mean, yeah, OCs dies there, but you're still way, way ahead. And you get the Guardian in on top of it. So macro-wise, for Leviathan, you're really liking where this is all at, and this is even after Surgery committed robbery against OCs just a moment ago.
So about something that I was talking with Lightbringer about earlier on today was about like comeback souls and how really misleading they could be. And you want to hear something crazy, CP?
Oh yeah, no, I got the same thing, but for the sake of broadcast, yeah, no, Rutherford's like, you know, I gave Jason the heads up, but we should tell the people regardless. Yeah.
So like being 15, 16k souls ahead around like the 16-minute mark. I don't know if time's unaffected. I haven't really like looked that deeply into it. So I guess, you know, 16k soul difference. When you get a 1v1 kill as the person on the team that's losing currently, you basically get more souls from the comeback mechanics than you get for the actual kill. And some of the numbers you ran of being like the lowest soul value on your team versus the highest soul value of your team getting a one-on-one kill, the person was getting 1,500 comeback souls and a 1,300 kill souls. So he was getting essentially what, 2,800 souls off of one kill.
Yeah, you effectively get a little bit over double, but there's an interesting part in the math too, where if it's a 5-on-1, it doesn't really work out that way. Like you actually have to do it like with 1 or 2 people as opposed to, you know, your whole team getting someone. So there's a lot of like interesting math there. But when it came down to me, you know, when we were talking about it, just comes down to when you're ahead. If you're Leviathan right now and you're ahead, number one thing is don't give up dumb kills. As like simplistic as that is, it's something the teams have been failing a lot. Like you look at scrims from teams, Jason, they'll just mess up and give up kills they shouldn't. And the way comeback mechanics are right now can easily let the other team back into the game.
Yeah, and it's something that teams really have to adapt to is, yeah, like you said, when you're ahead, just don't give up stupid deaths. A great job by Surgery here to continue to close the gap as he gets, was it a 2-man kill over onto Freemock. It's a very difficult thing to think about, but it's something to really keep in your mind, especially when it comes to comeback urns. If you're the advantage team, or I guess it's an advantage urn, I guess you would call it, there's almost no point going for it, because if you do get it, you lose a couple players, you pretty much net lost that fight. You give them such an easy opportunity to get back into the game. But speaking of the game, Colt trying to contest and gets caught out here and locked down by Flammable. Even Abrams being stuck here is now Bobby being forced to just seismic impact away to make sure he can escape this one. And Leviathan, I mean, the lead that they had, it's still 8k, almost 9k. It's not really growing too much anymore.
No, it's going quite the other way around. I mean, the last few engagements very much in favor of Fearless Furies. And now, I mean, in a reasonable setup here to get control. Well, okay, Leviathan's going to be fully back up by the time it's up, but we'll see if they do a bigger play for earn control here, because, you know, the other thing that when you talk to pros and you look at, you know, the metrics overall, giving up first earn, I mean, it's not great, but it's the 15-minute earn and on where having control of it is really, really important. And given that you're up against Doorman here, you know, I think if you're Fearless Furies, you make a stand on the next turn.
Do you see what Empty Dreams just bought? A 15-minute infuser on Victor?
It's core.
Isn't that a little early for an infuser?
People keep pushing the limit. Like, it went from, oh, we get this late game on Victor, do we get mid game, to now just, oh, I'm Victor, I want Infuser. But will you be able to survive? The squad is coming out here. Empty Dreams looking for a way out, getting chased down right now by Psy. Cube's right in his face, and we'll see how much time Empty Dreams can buy right now. Just surrounded on all ends. And that's a rough timing death-wise now as Earn is spawned, but absolutely no one is on the right side of the map near the urn. Instead, it's Leviathan just pushing the lane up, going for the walker. And if they get it, they're just going to be able to walk back, grab the urn at their own leisure here, Jason.
It might just be ultimately just a 1-for-1 trade. Unless Fearless Furies are not able to capture this left lane walkers. You do see the contest coming through. Flamble's going to be here. Obikin was there as well, but he will fall being chased out, but not before helping to get 1 kill onto Colt. And that walker, it's still relatively healthy. It still has a lot of HP. And honestly, look at the mid lane. We see a big push on Leviathan, realizing, okay, we defended this walker long enough. We might be able to have 2 from this.
Getting mid walker especially be huge. Arzo and Surgery both biting the dust. The pressure on the mid walker still very much here. OC's laying into it, and yeah, Fearless Furies, they're not going to be able to get over here to defend it. They're going to lose mid walker for this Jason, and Bobby just fall into the wayside. So Leviathan getting everything they want and more. I don't know if it's quite at mid boss level here yet, but certainly they can get urn control and go from there. Although they're in the weird spot, Jason, where if they grab it, they're gonna have to go into Fearless Fury's territory to turn it in. So maybe they don't mess with it right now. They just go mid boss.
Yeah, they're gonna commit for. They're forcing the fight out. If they can also get urn off the back of this, that would be pretty damn massive. It's taking a little bit of time to finish off the mid boss though, as the reinforcements have come in our Fearless Furies. So realistically, they could go for the test. You see Surgeon coming in from the side, gets slowing Hex, completely locked out of any sort of chance to contest this one. And now he's just going to pay the price for this. He will fall. And Leviathan, they get every rejuve. They get at least one kill and potentially second on the side, and maybe more off the back of this too.
Yeah, I mean, Obikim dying twice in that fight, the true focus for Fearless Furies, but in the end, Leviathan now working with a pretty significant advantage, and they're going to run Urn now with the advantage of Rejuvenator, which, I mean, look, you're already running the Doorman, which makes it hard to contest Urn, but you have Rejuve on top of it. Your Fearless Furies basically don't even bother. I will note, though, a completely different note, Jason. When you look at builds and change-ups here, Surgery went for the full-on slow haze as a build. Like, went slowing Hex and slowing bullets, hi, I'm Haze, I'm attacking you, and you're going to be really, really slow coming out of sleep build.
They have BRS too. A little bit of synergy for the team here. And Fortitude for the rotations around the map, and he's not going to save him here. And that's going to be another death coming through. And now potentially they're in turn, which honestly, Leviathan didn't need to force, but with the help of the door, they get in and out before there's any sort of respite out of the Furies. And it actually might just cost my life. Bobby gets caught out once again, getting locked down, swap back in, just currently sticking in this alchemical fire. And that's another kill, and this is not looking good, honestly. With the way Leviathan are playing 25, 24k lead, and with all walkers now down, they have full control around the map and the jungle.
I think the other problem is, too, when you think about win conditions here, when you're running Haze and Viscous as sort of your quasi-playmakers, you can skirmish and run at people and get setups for kills when the game is even. Neither hero, Jason, is really good at making opportunities to get back into the game when you're this far behind. Not in the same way that a lasso, a swap, or a hook may be. So the win conditions for Fearless Furies are pretty rough right now. I mean, okay, you have Arzo and Apocycle reasonably farmed, but they're not farmed enough that they're going to be able to take over a fight with a, what's soon to be a 30k Victor running at you. So I run the calculations here, Jason. I don't see a ton of great ways for Fearless Furies to come back into this game right now.
Same, 100% same. I look at Bobby trying to be a frontline, 14,000 souls, lowest in the game. No chance you can stand. Like, the Victor doesn't even have to attack you. He doesn't have to shoot you. You're just going to die to his aura of suffering over time. Especially the Infuser tapped in on top of this. Empty Dream's just going to walk straight through that front line and hit the back line. And then you have Flammable able to jump in. You have to worry about the swaps at a free mock. Not to mention overseas with the chain gang. And then, of course, Obikim opening up different avenues of attack and pressure with the doors. I would hate to be a backline player for the Furies at this point.
Effectively, for Fearless Furies, you're hoping for a mistake. You're hoping for someone on Leviathan is in the wrong neighborhood. They push their advantage a little bit too much, and you punish them for it. Your fate is not in your own hands here at this point. And that's the problem when you run the comp that they decide to go with, is that there's a lot of ways to play it when it's even, but not as many ways to play it when you're behind. And we'll see if they're going to do it. I will say, though, Jason, not great for Wraith's win rate, where we were already kind of joking about the Curse of Wraith. We were watching the Death Slam tournament, and I don't know. Wraith is good, but the comp results recently have not been great.
I wonder if it's because games don't really get deep enough into it to allow the Wraith to just become this immovable object. And then, of course, you take into account other heroes like, for instance, Victor, who can kind of stand up to it a bit, especially if you can close that distance. And Empty Dreams right now at 30,000 souls, he also has escalating exposure, so he's going to put out a ton of damage for himself just amidst in the fight. And he's already hard to kill with the Infuser on top of that. You can see the Furies. I mean, they need to like avoid some of these fights. They're trying to contest the earn turn in. That's the third of the game we picked up for Leviathan. And once again, Bovie gets caught out getting too aggressive, and he'll be finished off. In the meantime, the backside Surgery is using his bullet dance, doing some decent damage. He gets swapped back to the ground to allow Fremont to escape.
The problem is your front line is made of paper there, Jason. Like both your Abrams and Yamato, who should be alive to the end, get instantly bopped in the middle of the fight. And after your front line is dead, you kind of see Surgery rolling back around and be like, guys, it's bullet dance time. And Leviathan just kind of looks back and goes, no, absolutely not. And just, turn on Surgery and take him down. So yeah, not a lot of options left here for Fearless Furies. Shrines are going to go down. And of course, this was the last patch of the new year, Jason, but you get mega creeps on top of it, which makes the comeback potential even harder.
Yeah, it makes it much harder to push out of your base, but it does also mean you have waves always crash. You always have some source of income for yourself. Mid-boss spawning now, and that means Leviathan have the opportunity to be going for it here. Flammable has been picked off by the chase of the Furies, realizing they have to get something out of this. But I don't think they're going to really get much more than this. The Surgery, he's on the chase. You can see on the mini-map on the right-hand side. They're going to get the catch onto Bobby, who's just trying to back away. The Q comes through to save him for now, but the fight's not done, ZP. Oh my god, the swap!
Well, the Fearless Furies would like for the fight to be done right now, though. Okay. You get a catch in onto Mina. Nice little hit of comeback souls. But the problem is, Jason, you need a lot of comeback souls at this point. You're down 40,000, so it's a little rough as down into the middle. Wraith in all sorts of trouble. And oh, this is where you love to live as Victor. The question is it a little bit too much? In this case, it is. Entire team around you, close quarters, and not quite ahead of the game enough to actually make it your own.
Yeah, and luckily Mid-boss hasn't spawned as they jump the gun there, so there's no punishment out of either team for the losses they're suffering at the moment. Surgery's like, yeah, I'm out of here. Crippling headshot picked up on top of this for free mock and stam mastery. Gonna be so slippery on her. And you can see them just waiting for anyone to peek too far. You have a Lasso ready to go. Lasso's not gonna connect though. The Bobby just slips by it. Of course, because he's using the new night shift skin for Abrams. That's why he's able to get around it. If you guys want it at home, you can get it once we're up to 1,200 subs here on the channel.
That's right. Released to the community at that point. And again, I think the thing is seeing it in motion in game that strikes me is that, Abrams got a big tail, Jason. That's all I got to say.
It's not the only big thing he's got. It's biceps. Massive biceps. 37,000 soul lead. Am I reading that right? I could do math correctly.
Close enough. Also, in terms of itemization, it's kind of funny how we've gone full circle where, Holiday went through her gun meta build, gun got nerfed, we went back to Spirit, and now you look at Flammable's build here, we're back to using Veilwalker. Veilwalker finding its home on a hero that probably should have been used on to begin with. But mid-boss is up in Leviathan. They're looking to put away. Meanwhile, Sleep in the bullet dance is going to be enough to take down Paradox. Absolutely not. Freebach just tanks it like a champ. Gives the pain back to Surgery. And Psy going to be following Surgery soon thereafter. The stat differential just way too much between the teams now, Jason.
Bro, Empty Dreams has Phantom Strike on Victor. There's no coming back from this. He gets directly in the middle of your team, can pop Infuser, has escalating exposure and Warp Stone. The mobility is being king here for Empty Dreams as a chase down comes in on another kill as ours was able to turn at least one back around. But it's not a good sign if your Surgery to get a full combo off to a solo Paradox, you're not able to kill her.
No, not at all. And also, I kind of wonder if wanting to play Haze was a little bit of a bait here from Fearless Furies, because remember when we were talking about the hero pool in the beginning and how Fearless Furies, they don't have quite as big of a hero pool? Well, Surgery is the main doorman player for Fearless Furies, so did prioritizing the Haze mean that they weren't giving Doorman as an option? That's why they gave Doorman fourth. I actually think that may have been the case, but either way, it's Leviathan. They're going to move on to the money match once more for what's become the de facto EU matchup, Jason, of Abrahams versus Leviathan.
Yeah, it's the gift that keeps on giving and it continue to give in 2026. Hopefully for them, they're prepared to potentially take down Abrahams as our #1 team in EU, though it's going to be extremely difficult. I'll notice surgery though. I feel like the haze worked pretty well early mid game. I feel like it did exactly what it needed to do, but things just slipped too far out of the way. Bobby wasn't able to be the front line with the Abrams. Again, you had a split farm between Mirage and Wraith a little bit too. On top of that, was that Colt on Yamato wasn't really able to get going either. It was just a rough game overall with their front line. They just could not handle how far ahead Empty Dreams got.
Yeah, and I mean, it's kind of interesting because you look back, it was relatively even up until the urn spawned, right? Like the early game, you had some good rotations, and that was where the haze being played by Surgery did shine. I mean, I do think haze gives you some really strong ability to be aggressive pre 10 minutes. But if you don't secure a lead off that, if you just stay even, where, by the way, that steal, probably the highlight of the game for Surgery. It was all downhill from there.
What's the point of kinetic dashing right before you bullet dance?
It's the attack speed. You still get the attack speed. It
still works for bullet dance?
Yes.
Okay, then that makes sense. That's sick then. I'm really showing mastery of Haze in this one. But then you just saw things get too far out of hand. I mean, no one really fell behind Leviathan's side. I mean, Freemok, he was at 35,000 souls at the end of the game. Ended up keeping up relatively well with even Empty Dreams on the Victor. But also, think about it. The amount of urn turn-ins we got for Leviathan, a lot of them uncontested because of having the doorman, but even the ones they fought for, that was a lot of extra souls that really kept them rolling on through this game.
Yeah, I also think just the power of having doorman on your side right now is that you can be a little bit behind and then go, we'll make it up on objectives. Not that they even got behind here, but yeah, I don't know. I think back even to the where you know, overall in the draft, it was definitely a situation of I kind of favored the Leviathan draft to begin with, and I didn't see enough gained from what you were going for on the Fearless Fury side to kind of make up for what they lost there. They end up losing Doorman, they lose up traditional playmakers, and you know what they had gained here is that, okay, you got Abrams as your first pick, and Abrams is quite good, even though it was a rough game for Bobby. And, you know, you got Haze, but I don't know if it was worth what they gave up.
I think they just, I don't even really know where they fell very far behind. Part of me wants to say urns because we saw the 3 or 4 being locked in for Leviathan, but then they started to fall behind individually. I think losing 2 of those walkers was maybe a big turning point where they almost defended their left-hand walker, or sorry, for Leviathan. Then they get themselves 2 walkers in the right and the mid lane. That really gave them a lot of control, a lot of jungle control, and a lot of ability to fight in behind enemies' front lines to catch them off guard and really limit the amount of souls they could continue to take to turn into items.
So we're just waiting right now for our what's it called? Actually, we have to choose an MVP here, Jason. I don't think take a look here. Let's see. Yeah, I agree. You're already on top of it. Sorry, I get distracted by something else. There was I don't know if it came across. There was like a loud bang that just happened, like something falling in my background. So I'm just sitting here. It's like, what in the world just happened? But it is fine. The MVP is ready, and it's gonna be Empty Dreams, I believe.
I don't actually know who it's gonna be because there's a thumbs up on the second one. Okay, it's gonna be Freemok. Okay,
let's say Freemok. Okay, no.
I said Empty Dreams or Freemok, and then we got a thumbs up, and I wasn't sure who it was either. But I think honestly, both of them equally deserved it. I think Freemok did a great job, especially when it came to dismantling Surgery. He won out on 2 1v1s against him that maybe wouldn't have like resulted in a big comeback for the Furies, but for a Paradox to be able to handle a Haze 1v1 like this, I felt was like very important. And again, he had some great swaps as well. Looking at one of the longest swaps we see back towards mid, was able to swap on the side to keep himself alive.
Yeah, and the interesting thing too, the beginning build here for Freemok, it was a full orange build on Paradox, which kind of makes sense. You get the early damage boost on your left clicks, and then you kind of build up utility there on out, you know, adding Heal Bane, Sullying Hex, etc. thereafter. Also does help in lane pressure, you know, getting early Guardian down. But I also love just the ability to play around Time Wall, where it's just like, oh, you think I'm in danger? Well, I'm just going to work around this wall, and actually, Surgery, you are the one that's in danger.
Yeah, I mean, well done by them. A nice little warm-up match for them, because the real test for them, of course, is going to be the next game. Abraham's been undefeated for, it feels like, 9 shifts. I mean, basically since Buff Enjoyers quit, right? Since they disbanded, they've been the #1 team hands down.
Yeah, I mean, they've been looking incredible. They've been the team to beat since Buff Enjoyers left, but Maybe this will be the week that Leviathan is able to flip the script. It's a new year, and why not have a new champion? This is Deadlock Night Shift number 20. We'll be back in just a few moments with the EU Money Match.